Hi, I am Richard Kemp. I'm realtor with Berkshire Hathaway.
And I am Lauren Greiner. I'm also a realtor here at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services here in Utah. And we just wanted to jump on today and talk to you guys about some tips that we have right now as far as Utah's housing market goes, how to win offers, how to sell your home effectively, and just kind of what we're seeing as far as Utah's housing market goes. So here are our tips and we hope you enjoy. Obviously, we know knowledge is power. And so, Richard, where do we see the housing market today? Where do we see it going? Like, what's happening in Utah's housing market?
Oh my goodness, that is a great question. The market is crazy. We're so low on inventory. If you paid attention to the end of the real season of selling homes last year, we had about 1,000 homes in August. Today, or that's in Utah County. Today in Utah County, we have 290 homes on the market today. And that covers condos, townhomes, single families, and every price range.
Okay, so inventory is obviously low. Being a seller is great, but being a buyer, we got lots of competition, it sounds like. So Utah's housing market just sounds like it's obviously just skyrocketing, right? Our inventory is low, there's not a lot out there, and so the competition's on, right?
We have lots of multiple offers on homes, and pricing a home is an experience today. So Lauren, we know where the market is today, but where's it gonna go?
This is always my favorite question because I feel like it's something that I wish I could answer. I always tease, I wish I had a crystal ball, I wish I could tell you, this is what's gonna happen in 6 months. What we do know though is that interest rates are still supposed to stay really good throughout the year. So we do know that, buyers are still gonna buy, sellers are, not selling as much, our inventory is still low, so we need those listings, we need that inventory for those buyers because we have buyers that are moving from out of state, we have buyers that are, relocating for work. And so that growth is still happening here in Utah. So we know that the growth's gonna happen. I always love when I talk to buyers and they say, I'm waiting for it to pop. I'm waiting for it to happen, crash to happen again. And I don't anticipate that happening at all, just because Utah is such an incredible place to live. We have so much growth and we just continue to grow. Our unemployment rate is great. Our interest rates are good right now. Do you know what I mean? So I don't see the market going anywhere. I see it staying pretty relevant to how it is today.
And I would agree. So one of the questions that is asked all the time is, should I buy today? And the answer is yes. We know that values are just going up. So if you wait, it's going to be more expensive, as well as the rates are potentially going to go up as well with the amount of government assistance that's happening. You will get inflation, and with inflation comes raised interest rates. So buying today versus waiting a month, 6 months, a year down the road, you are going to end up having a less expensive home.
One of those things as well that I feel like I can touch on is I feel like a lot of my clients are doing, whether they're going to do new construction or they do existing homes, a lot of my clients right now are looking into new construction, which I feel like is a great option, but at the same time, we're seeing with new construction as well, which I think you can agree with, is that there are wait lists and we're having multiple offers with new construction as well. So my advice would be, if home buying is in your goal sheet or your game plan at all for even the next year, I would say, to year and a half, you need to start today. You need to come up with a game plan.
So what does that mean today? Buy today or?
No, I think it means getting a game plan ready today. If you see yourself purchasing a home in the next 6 months and that's something that you want to do, meeting with your agent, meeting with your lender, getting those things ready to go, because there are steps that need to be put in place and there are things that you need to know going into it that you can start today. It doesn't mean you need to buy today. It means that you start the process today. It's like if I wanted to lose 10 pounds, I don't automatically lose that tomorrow, right? There are steps that you have to take in order to do that, which I think you would also agree with.
I tell clients all the time that if you're not looking to buy today, let's go ahead and virtually be looking online, because when you decide to step into the market, you will actually be acclimated. You'll know what's going on in the market, and when you see that home that just makes you happy, you'll be prepared to write the correct kind of offer.
Correct. I would 100% agree with that. So it's so important to just have that team on your side. Make sure you are hiring good individuals and that you have a plan in place, because purchasing a home is not something that's just done overnight. It's something that takes, sometimes months to get prepared to do.
Absolutely.
So obviously we know that the housing market right now is kind of crazy, and to be a buyer is very intimidating. So I think you and I, we're both full-time real estate agents. We're doing this on a day-to-day basis, and we just wanted to kind of share some things that we have found successful as far as writing offers. So I think number one thing we're seeing in play is escalation clauses. And what an escalation clause is.
What is an escalation clause?
You're like, wait, what is this? What is an escalation clause?
Make sure you touch on what an escalation is.
So escalation clauses are put in place where you say, hey, we offer $430 for the home, but we're willing to go up to, $450 to beat out the highest offer. So, maybe our max is $450. We will escalate, in increments of $2,000 to $5,000 or whatever you decide to put in play, up to a certain amount to escalate that purchase price to hopefully beat out other offers. Maybe your initial purchase price offer isn't the highest one in the group, but you have that potential to go up a little bit higher and to compete with those other offers there.
And what I like about the escalation clause is that we're seeing homes go up anywhere from $10,000 to $50,000 in modest priced homes. And so it's one way for a buyer to feel like I'm putting up big numbers without having to jump that full $50,000. We can do it by just beating somebody else by $1,000.
Correct. And I think another thing that my buyers have been nervous about is, well, what if they just say that they got an offer that was higher than ours and we have to do that? They physically have to provide proof, and legally they have to provide proof. It's in the verbiage that we put in the addendum. So if you're a buyer and you're worried about that, just know that your agent should be taking care of you with how they write that addendum and saying, hey, if this escalation clause is put into play, we need proof of that other offer that is beating us out, and we're happy to go above that price.
So the second thing we see is non-refundable earnest money. And what that means is that the moment the contract is accepted, all of it or a portion of your earnest money becomes non-refundable.
Yeah, I've seen that as well, and I don't know, maybe you probably have written contracts just the same way I have with, not only non-refundable earnest money right off the bat. Maybe it's not your full earnest money amount. Maybe it's a small chunk like $500,000 or whatever, but also more non-refundable earnest money after that due diligence time period, which is where your inspection happens and you're checking different things about the home, where another section of that earnest money becomes non-refundable again.
Yeah, our real estate purchase contract has actually addressed this in the recent year with changes. We can now leave earnest money after due diligence, and we can now add additional earnest money after all of our deadlines.
Yeah, after that financing and appraisal deadline.
Right,
yeah.
And just so people know, because I get this question all the time, earnest money becomes part of your down payment. So it's not like it's an extra spiff to the seller. This is part of your down payment. It's money you were going to put down anyway.
Correct. And I think another thing to talk to our buyers about is that, it does go towards your down payment, but it also shows the seller of how much skin you have in the game, how serious you are about purchasing the home. If I'm willing to walk away from $5,000 right off the bat, I'm pretty dang serious about purchasing this home, right? I'm not probably going to cancel for any reason whatsoever. So I think non-refundable earnest money speaks volumes when it comes to
multiple
sellers.
offer situations.
Yes.
And that's the name of the game today, is multiple offers. So something else that we're seeing a lot of is dealing with appraisals.
Yes. Appraisals are so fun. We're seeing appraisals where, because we're in multiple offer situations and because we're, doing escalation clauses and prices are being driven up, like you said, anywhere from $10,000 to $50,000, we're seeing where, sometimes appraisal doesn't always come in at value, which sucks for the seller and it sucks for the buyer, because then you have to renegotiate. I think as buyers, sometimes they're like, oh, we hope that the appraisal doesn't come in, but then it creates a whole new string of problems where you're trying to negotiate, and sometimes the deal can fall through, which we don't ever want that to happen, because it's just not good on either side. So what we're seeing with multiple offer situations is where the buyer will go in and say, hey, our offer's for $250, but the house was really listed at $230. If the appraisal comes in anywhere less than $250, we will pay up to
$5,000, $10,000, $20,000 of the difference.
Yep. So I just had a buyer the other day ask me, well, so does that mean that if I said I'll pay $5,000 over $260, am I paying $265? And that's not the case. You're paying the difference in whatever that appraisal came in at. So if that appraisal came in at $230,000, they'd be paying $235,000 to cover it. It gets added into your closing costs. So it's an extra $5,000 that you would come to the table with at closing to make up for that difference, because the bank cannot loan on anything less than appraisal value. Or more than appraisal value, sorry.
So we're also seeing sometimes people waiving appraisals all
Correct.
just right off the bat, and they either have enough cash in the bank to make up the difference, or they are a cash buyer.
Correct. I had that happen just recently where we just, we had enough cash to cover that difference. It's not pretty. It's not something that, I think in the past we would have probably recommended doing, but it's just kind of the name of the game right now. If you want the house, I always tell my buyers, like, well, how bad do you want it? Do you know what I mean? It's that, how much are you willing to risk? How much are you willing to put down? If it's your dream home and you love it and it makes sense, it's probably worth it to do. Wouldn't you agree?
I would. Part of the thing you can do as you're walking through the home is to say, it does look pretty good. We don't anticipate that there's going to be an issue.
Yeah. And I think as well with appraisals, there are times where they do come in at value. I mean, I think recently I've had more that have come in at contract price. If you have a good agent, you have an agent who's doing an appraisal packet, who's giving that appraiser proof of, hey, we had 16 offers and here's where they were at, and this is why the price was driven where it was. It's not that we're trying to inflate the market. We're just trying to show the appraiser, hey, look, there is proof in this, but that's where having a good agent comes in handy.
So we have regular sales meetings, and we have an in-house lender that's very sharp, and that question came up was, are we having appraisal issues? And appraisers are in the market every day. They see where things are going, and we're not having as big a problem on appraisals as one would think.
Yeah, I haven't seen as many. I mean, obviously, yes, we have ones that come in low. I had one come in low the other day, but again, we had that escalation clause put in place, and we had the appraisal clause put in place, and so we were able to, just know ahead of time. The buyer was aware, and they were educated, and they knew what they were kind of getting into ahead of time.
Hey, the last tip is, who are you going to work with as far as a team goes?
Yep.
And first of all, it ought to be Lauren or myself, because we're amazing. But let's talk about it in a general aspect. As far as a real estate agent goes, it ought to be somebody that has a little bit of time under their belt, transactions under their belt, somebody that's gone maybe through the ups and the downs a little bit, so that they understand the nuances of real estate as well as the contract, because the devil's in the details.
Yep. And I think as well, with hiring an agent, you need to pick somebody who you have a good relationship with and who you like working with. I tell people all the time, you have to like who you work with, because we're going to spend a lot of time together, right?
Oh, I get to know people.
And it's great, and we love that, and that's why we are in the industry that we're in. But really making sure that you hire somebody who's knowledgeable, that knows, when you go to write an offer, that you should be communicating with the other side. My biggest pet peeve is when I'm listing a home and somebody doesn't call me to ask what my seller's looking for, and they just send over a blank offer, assuming that they already know what my seller's looking for, and maybe they're not looking for highest price. Maybe they want a lease back. So there's one of those, that's a huge thing for me, is the communication and the reputation that the agent has, I think, is huge.
Oh, for sure. There are agents that I would love to do deals with, and there's some that I might say, okay, this one I'm going to be nervous about.
Yeah, just because it's the trust, right? We are in the business to do the best job for our client and to look out for our client's best needs. And so when we know that we're doing a transaction with somebody who's a full-time agent, who's going to answer their phone, who's going to bat, who's doing everything they can to get the deal to close for both sides, they're looking out for both sides of the party to make sure that it's a good transaction. I think that's huge, and I think that also goes with lenders as well. When you're choosing your lender, if you don't have one that you already know, ask your realtor. Say, hey, do you have somebody that you would recommend? Because a lot of times we have relationships with lenders who, that we would recommend day in and day out, and there are ones that we would probably stay away from. And those
Absolutely.
are ones that other agents are probably going to stay away from as well. And where we are in a market where there's multiple offer situations, I think you can attest to this, is sometimes we get pre-approval letters where we're like, ooh, we've done business with that one, and it went really bad. Do you know what I mean? And so not every realtor and not every lender is created equal, and you have to find that team. You have to find those people that are going to have your back and support you. You
touched on full time, and I know that you're the same way.
Yes.
The phone rings at dinner, and I'm sure that your spouse just is like, really, another phone call, or a phone call that's actually uber late at night.
Yep.
And so being accessible, I tell my clients all the time, if a home pops up, we need to be there immediately.
Yep, especially right now in today's marketplace. It's like if you wait even an hour or two, it's done. So I think for us, what we would say, probably the very last thing is just to make sure you have a good team behind you. We talked a lot about, having a plan in place and making sure that you know what you're doing and having people on your team. And the home buying and home selling process becomes so much easier when you have people that know what they're doing on your side.
I agree. The market today is crazy. It's going to continue to stay crazy for the foreseeable future. You need to buy a home today because market is trending up and rates are stable through the rest of the year, but they will potentially trend up. You need to work with a team that is full-time, professional, and available, and that's realtor and mortgage working in concert with each other.
We hope that was helpful if you're local here in Utah. Richard is one of my dearest friends, and I just want to say thank you to him for doing this video with me today. If you guys
Absolutely.
liked it, make sure you comment, subscribe, and if you have questions about Utah's housing market, leave them below. We want to be able to answer those for you. If you're out of state, let us know if you're moving here to Utah. We have quite a bit of people coming from California and Arizona, Florida. Come enjoy Utah's snow right now. It's freezing. But anyways, we love you guys. Thanks for joining. Check us out next week.